Welcome back, everyone, to Life Lessons Learned. In my previous video, I talked about being able to get my very first paid speaking engagement. And it's one thing to go from, speaking from free to actually getting paid. So I was too excited. And I had always planned on speaking, doing some speaking at some points in my life for a living. So that worked out really well. But in that last video, I did tell you that this video would talk about the time I had such a major speaking engagement that I physically got very sick. So, very unexpected because I'm thinking, this is what you've been living for, and working towards. But I mean, at this time, by the time I'd gotten this particular speaking engagement, I had already been speaking publicly and at schools and universities and community events and things like that. So the speaking itself wasn't the major part. What happened was, as they say, what happened was, um, so I had been teaching parenting classes by this time at a major university there in Michigan as a paraprofessional. So I worked with parents that were taking our classes voluntarily because they just wanted to increase or hone their parenting skills and get more tips and techniques as to how they can effectively and positively interact with their children and communicate with them. So that's always great. Just want to say that up front. But I also worked with parents that were mandated to take our classes. And so our classes were anywhere from 6 to 25 people. They weren't really major, big classes. And that's because we had material that we had to get through and have time for the parents to share their experiences and their questions and things like that. But I had so much fun doing that particular job. And I'm going to talk about some of the changes and impact I was able to make on some of the parents and the students as a result of my being in that position. And it was so rewarding. So I wanted to say that. Well, um, at this particular event, someone from the university was aware of um, my parenting program. I had a program for parents to assist them, and they wanted to know if I would be willing to present it at an event that the university was holding. So, like I said, whenever someone approaches you about speaking for pay and you're a speaker and you're looking to do that, I I mean, I could always get the details as to what needs to be covered, but I always say yes. I'm like, yes, if I'm available, I'll take a look at my calendar, and if it's nothing on it, of course I'm going to do it. So I went over what my program consisted of, and this particular workshop, it was a seminar that I used to give. It was called Raising You Can Kids, YOU, and then CAN. So I was talking to, giving tips and techniques and suggestions as to how parents can increase their child's confidence level, and also um, give them the idea that nothing's too difficult for them to tackle if they really put their mind to it and put in the work for it. Because not everything comes easy. But it was a really fun seminar and a fun workshop, and it was interactive. So I had ways where parents could um, participate by asking questions or sharing their experiences and ideas and things like that. Well, this event was a major one because people were coming from all across the state of Michigan and from out of state. So it was like a major annual thing that they held for teachers, um, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, parents, anyone that was interested. And it was like a 3-day event. So, the people that were coming from out of town would stay overnight and that kind of thing. And so I was like, this would really be great. Ugh. Well, the day of, and you guys know me, I'm Princess Prompt. So the day of, I'm there like extra early again to see the room, make sure I have enough material to pass out, kind of get a feel of what the day is going to be like. And everything was good. I had gotten there so early that one of my colleagues said, I think we're in the wrong place. I was like, no, everyone else in the world is always late. Trust me, we're in the right place. And we were. So as the event is the people are coming in and everything. I had a workshop that was going to start at 10:30 that morning, and then another one at 1:30. So, they would have like lunch in between, some type of a break and that kind of thing. And then I would do another one at 1:30. And then they had me scheduled for one, I think at 4. So it was, a few hours apart. Now, just to let you know, the seminar itself was going to be anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. So they were giving us time in between each of our things. And the people that would be participating had to sign up once they got there, to the event, and they took a look at all of the different programs that we had and all the different classes that we offered and seminars that were being taken. And so that way they could choose which ones they would go to in the morning or the afternoon or whatever. So I wasn't in a small room. I was in like a medium-sized room. And I was like, oh, okay, this is fine. It actually could take quite a few people in it. And I was like, okay, we'll see, how many people sign up. Well, as I'm peeking from behind the curtain, looking at the people file in, and they're coming from all walks of life, all over the state. They have their binders, their notebooks, their pads. Some of them have their recorders. And I'm like, wait, what the heck is this? I mean, I know I'm giving a lecture, but for some reason, was still kind of surprised. So they're coming in and coming in, and then they're coming in and coming in, and then the room is almost full, and then the room is full. Do I say that word right? My daughter says I don't pronounce my L's. And then one of the instructors comes out to me and she says, Sherry, we're going to have to slide this, the door open and widen your room because you wound up getting more participants than any of the other seminars. And my, seminar was entitled Raising You Can Kids. So I could see a lot of people being excited about that. But when she said that to me, I said, oh, okay, no problem. And I said, excuse me for a second, because as soon as they moved that divider and I saw the other side of that room and people were already waiting to come in, I just got sick. Okay. I mean, physically, I got sick. So I ran to the restroom. Jeez. I ran to the restroom and I could, when you're about to throw up. I'm like, oh, geez, I'm not going to be able to do this. All these people are here. Of course, I didn't have enough material because I had brought material for the 3 classes that I would be doing, but I had no idea that those classes would have been overflowing. So I was like, I'm going to look like a not professional person at this point. But anyway, I went in there and I didn't just, Chuck, like a classy lady. I was vomiting, okay? Ugh, you know, other ladies could hear me. I was like, this is not good. So I came out and went, to the sink to wash my mouth out and wash my hands. And this lady, I forgot to say, so on the programs, you could see, the pictures of the speakers. So yeah, the pictures on there and my name. And this lady saw me and she said, hey, you're the instructor for my first class, Raising You Can Kids. Are you okay? And I said, oh yes, I'm fine. I said, I'm not sure what happened or anything, but I'm perfect. I'll be fine. So by this time I'm like headed back to behind the stage, sweating bullets. Cause I'm like, what the hell? And when I do my seminars or my workshops, I'm always very engaging. I'm always very open to everyone that's there and any type of questions they may have. And I make it a fun, interactive, communicative type environment. And I get along with um, all kinds of people. So I'm been trained in peer negotiation and conflict resolution. So I have all of those trained skills. But I was just so embarrassed that the lady knew that I was the one in there throwing up and I would be the one doing the doggone class, seminar. But so as they're getting ready to start and everything, and they send the speaker before me to go to introduce me, and they start talking about the parenting classes that I was teaching and the subjects that I taught over the course of those classes and everything. And they introduced me. And I have to say, as I'm walking out on that stage, it was as if I had never thrown up or never gotten sick or didn't break out in a cold sweat. I was, it was game on. And I was really, really excited, first of all, about that many people signing up for that. Because I was like, okay, some of these people are probably going to be here just to say, okay, what does she mean by raising you can kids? My kids can't. But it was a very, very well thought out workshop. And there was a point where, we got to well, first of all, I completed everything and talked about the experience that I had and some of the experiences I had with some of the parents that I had worked with in the past. And then towards the end of the seminar, I opened it up, of course, for Q&A. So, questions and answers and things of that nature. And again, this was years ago, so it was before we had Google and people can just look up their own answers to things. But I had said that we had gotten to a point where some of the parents were asking about high school students because they're totally different from grade school to middle school. They're more independent. They've had more courses that they've learned about and may have more questions about history or some of the things that have transpired in the course of history that they may have had questions about or anything like that. So I was at a point where these parents who had high school students were saying, well, they're getting ready for college or they're getting ready to learn a trade or they're going to be doing other things. And this was at the point where video games and things like that were just becoming popular. So prior to that, we had table tennis. For those of you who remember that, the two tennis balls are going back and forth. And we played that game for hours. But they had that, and then there was Pac-Man too. So Pac-Man would go and eat up all the stuff. But anyway, we didn't have a lot of video games, and they certainly weren't lifelike like they are now. But I had this one guy parent that raised his hand, and he said that he had a daughter who wanted to do something that there's no way she could make a living from. And so what I challenged him and all the other parents, I said, tell me what it is that your child is interested in, and I can guarantee you that I could think of, a job that they could do. It may not be something that we're aware of or that we would want them to do, but it would be um, viable, legal um, employment. So he said his daughter, who was 17, she was about to be a senior. He said, I keep trying to get her interested in, you know, journalism or writing or creative writing or something like that, but all she ever wants to do is gossip, and I don't know what to do with that. I mean, what could she do? And I don't know. Well, the baby boomers would know who this person is, but there used to be a lady by the name of Shirley Eater, and she was a gossip columnist, like for Hollywood. So she would talk about the latest stuff that the celebrities, who's getting divorced, who's sleeping with whom, who's an alcoholic, who was in DUI, all of this stuff. And so I said to him, I said, haven't you ever heard of Shirley Eater? And the whole audience kind of laughed. And he said, well, yeah. I said, I mean, you may not like the idea that your daughter is interested in that, but if she really can get the lowdown on what's going on with people and everything, there could be a viable and very lucrative income for her on that, depending on who, her topics are, who, um, and what she chooses to write about. I said, but gossip pays. And let's be honest, it pays even more today than it did 30 years ago. So that was one thing. And he was kind of surprised at that. And then this lady raised her hand and she said her son only wanted to play, video games all day long and she didn't know what to do with that. And I said, I know you guys we all like to think that, this was again years ago. So anyone that's doing video games are not going to go anywhere in life. But I told them at that time that they were then looking for people who could design video games, play them to see how difficult it was to get from level to level, get ideas from them as to how to design the controls and things like that. I said, you guys are still thinking in our time where you get a job, you work 30, 40 years, you get to go watch and you're out. the world is really changing. A lot of people change careers, they change ideas of what they want to do for a living, they change their entire ideology. And sometimes that means going from job to job, but still being able to take care of your families and things of that nature. So we actually had a fun time with people raising their hands trying to stump me and they were getting stumped because I was like, I know the different things that are either available or will soon be available. And if your child has the kind of skill and fortitude and focus that you're saying on that one area, they would be numero uno in that field. So a lot of people were happy with that. And what happened was, as they say, what happened was, I think I said that earlier. Those parents were so excited about the information that I shared with them that they started telling the other people that weren't in that class. So all of my classes wound up having to have the dividers open fully packed. Some people were actually standing and people were engaged. We were all interactive. They were loving the information that I shared with them. And I was no longer sick or anything. But that was a memory I'll never forget. I was like, here I am at this major event, a 3-day event, and people are signing up and they're telling other people about my class. And that worked out really, really well. And I just want to say, you remember how earlier I said I didn't have enough material or anything? They had one of the instructors there make copies of all of the things that I had so that I would have plenty of material for all of the participants because I hate when people run out. I'm like, you knew you were speaking, didn't you? Jeez, you bring extra. So that worked out really well. And then I was able to give out my business card to many of the participants there because they also worked in different areas when it came to parenting and parenting skills and education and things like that. So I wound up getting numerous paid speaking engagements from that particular event. So that worked out really well, and it helped me to begin to build my brand and do my start to exercise personal power and all of that. So it turned out really well. But I would never have dreamed that if there was a speaking engagement for me to attend, that I would actually get physically sick when I saw the crowd. But that happened. It never happened again. And I'm going to also share with you guys a time in Michigan. I want to say Southfield, Michigan, when I actually was invited up on stage with a motivational speaker that many of you may know, which is Les Brown. So I'll tell you about how that story happened. And this was during the time I had my first book out, Choices, The Power is Within You. And so he found out about that and asked me to come up and just kind of hold it up to let people know what it was, but I'll go over that particular event and how I wasn't so prepared. But, I was going to see him, so it wasn't like I was prepared to be speaking or, doing any of that. But he told me, see, this is what happens. You should always be prepared. That thing don't let sprout. So as you know, this is Life Lessons Learned. My name is Sherry. My website is sherrybrantley.com. All of my books are available on Amazon, and I write in many genres. So I do have a fictional book, I have a book of poetry, Choices, The Powers Within You, my parenting book. So I just love to write, I love to read, and I love to speak. As you know, my mantra is knowledge is in the knowing, but wisdom is in the doing. And of course, the proof of a lesson is the application of it. So that was my story when I grew up major league before a major speaking engagement, but I was able to collect myself and do everything that needed to be done. And I actually had the most fun for that day. I met wonderful parents, and they all had very good feedback for me. The university collected that feedback and sent it to me, and I was able to use that to garner even more speaking engagements. So this is Sherry. Thanks, you guys. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.